Alright, today we are reading the book High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. We are on page 52, going live. Okay, here we go. Okay, higher performance habits. Number 1. Alright, we are actually in the part where we're actually going over stuff now. Number 1. High performance habit. Number 1, seek clarity. If you do not have clarity of ideas, you're just communicating sheer sound. Yo-yo ma. Envision the future for. Determine the feeling you're after. Define what's meaningful. Okay? Hold on, I want to... Air conditioning is a little... Okay. Kate, the woman sitting in front of me crying, has it all. She manages thousands of employees, one of the top companies in her industry. She's an admired leader with dozens of years' experience. Because her company is wildly profitable, her six-figure salary is almost double the average of her position. But she never lets that go to her head. Her bragging is limited to talking up her team. She's proud of how hard they work and support one another. No matter what Kate is talking about, you can tell she's genuinely interested in you. She has an indescribable grace about her whenever I see her walk into a room. I think of saying, there are two types of people. One walks into the room and announces, "Here I am." The other walks in and says, "Oh, there you are." Kate is raising 3 children. Her mother died from cancer when Kate was 15, so she puts a high value on being present with her kids. Recently, she got another promotion, so her husband Mike quit his job to be home with the kids. They're happy, they have more time together. Kate has hired me as her coach, and in order for us to get to know each other better, she invited me to their house in the suburbs for a barbecue. Within a few minutes of arriving at her home that sunny afternoon, I found myself with 4 of her friends, chatting over glasses of wine in the kitchen. I asked how they knew Kate and how they would describe her. They called her an awesome human being, a giver, someone you want to be like, and a success that makes us all look lazy. One friend said Kate was involved in everything, yet always there for you. Another said she was always impressed by how Kate could do it all and still manage to fit into her Lululemons. When another said, "I don't know how she does it all," the other 3 women nodded and like a church congregation. Shortly after Kate asked me to sit and chat in her home office, floor-to-ceiling windows lit the space, and French doors opened to the deck where I could see Mike working the grill, Kate seemed in good spirits, and then I commented on how her friend admired her. Suddenly her voice cracked. She said she appreciated their compliments. Then her eyes welled up. She looked away, and with her gaze went her presence. As I often do in these situations, I respond with humor. I ask, "What did I miss? Do you secretly hate one of those women?" "What?" She looked confused, but as she realized I was joking, she snapped back. "Oh," she laughs. No, I'm just emotional right now." "I see that. What's up?" She looks out the window to her husband and friends on the patio. She tries to compose herself, sitting more upright, wiping her tears with the edge of her hand. It means a lot to me that my friends said nice things, Brendan. I'm glad you're meeting them and Mike. Her voice cracks again, and the tears keep coming. Then she looks away again, toward the ground, and shakes her head. "I'm sorry, my life is just a hot mess right now." "A mess?" I asked. She nods, wipes the tears away, and sips up again. "I know it's silly. Oh, poor me, right? The lady with the good job and the good family isn't happy. It sounds like a daytime drama. And I know you're not here to do a therapy session. It's just that when you feel really blessed and people look up to you, it's hard to complain. That's why I asked you here. I'm struggling even if no one sees it. I don't want you or anyone to feel sorry for me. I don't want you to tell me I'm not a mess. That's what my friends do. It's good for me to let this out. Things are good, but something's not right. Tell me. She takes a deep breath. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions for maybe just too long? I think to myself, is there a proper length of time anyone should live life just going through the motions? But I didn't say that because she asked if I ever felt that. When people are struggling with their emotions, they often externalize the situation, ask questions about other people instead of owning it. Is that what you were feeling, Kate? As if you've been just going through the motions. I guess so. I lean in. How do you explain those things, going through the motions and feeling like a mess? She paused. I don't know exactly. That's why I wanted your perspective. I've just got so many things going on. I feel like I'm always reinventing the wheel and never catching up. So that makes me feel like a mess in some ways. And yet, I'm good at what I do, so I can handle it all. So I feel like I'm just going through the motions and all the chaos has become almost routine. There's a lot going on, but I'm not drowning. I'm just sort of frustrated and resentless at the same time. Does that make sense? It does. How have you been dealing with those feelings? Kate looks unsure and glances out the window. That's the thing. I don't know if I have dealt with it at all. I'm doing everything you're supposed to do, you know. They say be present and love your family. I try. Every day I try to be good with my kids and Mike. They say be effective. I have the to-do list, the plans, the checklist to make it happen. I get stuff done. They say be passionate at work. I am. They say be persistent and resilient. I have been. I've risen through so much gender discrimination in my career. I've come a long way and I'm happy and no one has to feel sorry for me. But I just don't know, Brendan. Yes, I think you do know. Tell me. She pulls back in her chair. Her shoulders slump and she takes a sip of wine as more tears break out. And all this running around and trying to do everything, I'm just starting to feel a little disconnected from it. Sort of lost. I nod and wait for what almost always comes next. I just don't know what I want anymore. I bet you know a lot of people like Kate. She's hardworking, smart, capable, caring. Like a lot of achievers, she has a list of goals and she accomplishes most of them. But the truth is she doesn't know what will bring the vibrancy back into her life. Without an immediate change in habits, she'll be in trouble. This doesn't mean she'll crash and burn. When achievers struggle in real life, it's not like on TV. There's no huge existential dilemma or midlife crisis that causes them quite everything in an instance, burning their business or relationship to the ground in one sudden manic weekend of insanity. That's not what achievers do. When they're struggling, especially when they are unsure what they want, they tend to march on like good soldiers. They don't want to mess things up. They're afraid to make sudden changes because the reality is that things are good. They don't want to walk away from everything they've worked so hard for. They don't want to go backward or lose momentum or be overtaken by their coworkers or competition or competitors. They know in their gut that there is another level, a different quality of life, but they feel deep uncertainty over changing what is already working. Improving a bad thing is easy for the achiever, but messing with a good thing, that's terrifying. Uncertain what they really want, achievers often choose to keep at it. But at some point, if they don't get very clear about who they are and what they want at this stage of their life, things start to unravel. At the beginning, the decline in their performance is subtle. They start to feel that something is off, so they don't bring as much intent to their efforts. They back off just a bit. There's not to say they feel their life is lacking. I have a lot to be grateful for, they will say. But the issue is not about something external they should feel grateful for. It's that something inside doesn't feel right. Like Kate, they're frustrated or restless even though life is good. They begin to worry. Maybe I haven't found my real thing. even though they've given so much of their lives to that very thing. When the office light turns out at the end of the night, or when they finally get a moment of silence after weeks of pushing hard, their internal charter starts scratching at the reality. Is all the complexity I've created in my life even worth it? Is this the right direction for my family and me at this stage of our lives? If I just took a break, maybe a few months to learn something new or try a new direction, would I miss out or get passed up? Things are good, so if I try something new, will everyone think I'm crazy? Am I just being stupid or ungrateful? Am I already stretched pretty thin? Can I really give any more right now? Am I really good enough to play at the next level? Why am I starting to feel so distracted? Why do my relationships feel sort of blah? Why am I not more confident at this point in my life? When these questions go unanswered for too long, an unraveling begins. Someone like Kate starts looking at all the mountains she has submitted in life and fears she has climbed too many of the wrong ones. She learns that what is achievable isn't always what is important. Soon, day-to-day motivation wanes. They begin feeling restrained or unfulfilled. They start focusing on protecting their successes versus progressing. Nothing seems thrilling anymore. But no one really notices at first, because an achiever is still good. Sure, the passion isn't at the level it used to be, but at least everyone at home and at work is fairly happy. Maybe just unaware. This is the situation Kate has found herself in. No one knew she was worse, a hot mess, but she couldn't escape the feeling. Ultimately, the dissatisfaction spreads into relationships at home or at work. Others notice. The stress of disappointment imparts a hard edge that upsets loved ones or coworkers. The person misses meetings and calls. They turn work in late. The contribution of good ideas falls off. Calls don't get returned. It's obvious to both the achiever and the people around her that she started just going through the motions. The excitement, joy, and confidence are gone, and with them goes the performance. If this sounds familiar to you personally, then this chapter is your chance to reset. If any of this sounds overdramatic, it's probably because you haven't hit that wall yet. Let's make sure you never do. Seek clarity. Clarity basics. The feeling is clear and indisputable, as if you suddenly sense the whole of nature and suddenly say, yes, this is true. I can't even read the person it's from. Fyodor Dostoevsky. That's who that's by. I can't read it. This chapter is about finding clarity in your life. It's about how you think about tomorrow and what you do to stay connected with what matters today. The essential habit of seeking clarity helps high performers keep engaged, growing and fulfilled over the long haul. Our research shows that compared with their peers, high performers have more clarity on who they are, what they want, how to get it, and what they find meaningful and fulfilling. We found that if you can increase someone's clarity, you up their overall high performance score. Whether you have a high degree of clarity in life or not, don't fret, because you can learn to develop it. Clarity is not a personality trait that some are blessed to have and others are not. Just as power plant doesn't have energy, it transforms energy. You don't have any specific reality. You generate your reality in the same line of thinking. You don't have clarity, you generate it. So don't hope for a flash of inspiration to reveal what you want next. You generate clarity by asking questions, researching, trying new things, sorting through life's opportunities, and sniffing out what's right for you. It's not as though you walk outside one day and the piano of purpose falls on your heads and all the things become clear. Clarity is the child of careful thought and mindful experimentation. It comes from asking yourself questions continually and further refining your perspective on life. Clarity research tells us that successful people know the answer to certain fundamental questions. Who am I? What do I value? What are my strengths and weaknesses? What are my goals? What's my plan? These questions may seem basic, but you would be surprised how much knowing the answers can affect your life. Clarity on who you are is associated with overall self-esteem. This means that how positive you feel about yourself is tied to how well you know yourself. On the flip side, lack of clarity is strongly associated with a neuroticism, and negative emotion. I apologize, I couldn't read that word. That's why self-awareness is so key to initial success. You have to know who you are, what you value, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and where you want to go. This kind of knowledge makes you feel better about yourself and about life. Next, you need to have unambiguous and challenging goals. Decades of research show that having specific and difficult goals increase performance. Whether those goals are created by you or assigned to you, clear stretch goals energize us and lead to greater enjoyment, productivity, profitability, and satisfaction in our work. Choosing stretch goals in each area of your life make a good starting place for high performance. You should also give yourself deadlines for your goals, or you won't follow through. Studies show that having a specific plan attached to your goals, knowing when and where you will do something, can more than double the likelihood of achieving a challenging goal. Have a clear plan is as important as motivation and willpower. It also helps you see past distractions and inoculates you against negative moods. The more clarity you have, the more likely you are to get stuff done even on the days you feel lazy or tired. When you see the steps right there in front of you, it's hard to ignore them. Our research further validates all this. In one survey, we asked over 20,000 people to read the following statements and rate themselves on a scale of 1 through 5, with 1 being strongly disagreed and 5 being strongly agreed. I know who I am. I'm clear about my values, strengths, and weaknesses. I know what I want. I'm clear about my goals and passions. I know how to get what I want. I have a plan to achieve my dreams. The higher the scores on questions such as these, the better the overall high performance scores. Data from the high performance indicator also shows that higher clarity scores are significantly associated with greater confidence, overall happiness, and assertiveness. Subjects with greater clarity also tend to report that they are performing with more excellence than their peers and feel they are making a greater difference for students. The higher the score on clarity, the higher the GPA. This means young people who have more clarity on their values, goals, and paths ahead tend to have a higher GPA. Most of this sounds like common sense, of course. Know who you are and what you want isn't exactly cutting edge advice. Still, it bears examination. Are you clear about these things? If not, start there. It can be as simple as journaling about these topics. For now, though, let's focus on the promise of the book, the more advanced concepts that will move the needle in your performance. To get there, let's consider what you would tell someone like Kate, who already knows who she is and has set and achieved challenging goals for decades. The next level of clarity is about the future. I look over and I've seen the promised land. I looked over and I've seen the promised land. Martin Luther King Jr. Let me say that again. I looked over and I've seen the promised land. Martin Luther King Jr. Most recently in my career, I've wondered whether high performers have a particular worldview on clarity about themselves, what they want, and how to get it. I wonder what, if anything, they were clear about than most people. To find out, I analyzed the comments of high-performance students, called on achievement researchers, and spoke with certified high-performance coaches about what gives their clients an edge. I also conducted structured interviews focused solely on the topic of clarity with nearly 100 people who reported in our surveys as being high performers. I asked them questions such as, which things are you absolutely clear about that help you perform better than your peers? What do you focus on to stay clear about what matters most? What aren't you clear about, and how does that affect your performance? What do you do when you are feeling uncertain or undirected? If you had to explain to someone you were mentoring what it is that makes you successful, what would you say? What else do you know about yourself beyond your value and strengths and plans that make you successful? In almost every basic question of who they were or what they wanted, the highest performers had greater ability to focus on the future and divine how they would achieve excellence. They didn't just know who they were, and they rarely focused on their present personality or performances. Instead, they consistently thought about who they wanted to be and how to become that. They didn't just know their strengths today. They knew what broader skill sets they would have to master in coming months and years to serve with excellence at the next level. They didn't just have clear plans to achieve their goals this quarter. They had lists of future projects that would lead them to a bigger dream. They didn't think just about how they would get what they personally wanted this month. They obsessed with the same focus about how to help others get what they wanted in their overall lives and careers. This future focus went well beyond what they wanted to become or how they would achieve what they and others wanted. They could also describe with great clarity how they wanted to feel in upcoming endeavors, and they knew specifically what conditions could destroy their enthusiasm, sense of satisfaction, and growth. Out of this research, we discovered specific habits that help create this kind of next level clarity. Practice 1. Envision the future. Dream lofty dreams as you dream, so you shall become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. James Allen. Let me read that again. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so shall you become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at least unveil. James Allen. I want to read that one more time, just so I can read it 3 times. Dream lofty dreams, and as you dream, so you shall become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is the prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. James Allen. High performers are clear on their intentions for themselves, their social world, their skills, and their service to others. I call these areas self, social, skills, and services, or the future 4. Self. Know thyself is the timeless advice inscribed in the Temple at Delphi in Greece over 2,400 years ago. But there's a difference between know thyself and imagine thyself. High performance know thyself, but they don't get stuck there. They are more focused on sculpting themselves into stronger and more capable people. That's another big difference. Introspection versus intention. We found that high performers can articulate their future self with greatest ease than others. Tactically, this means they tend to have a faster and more thoughtful confidence response when I ask them. If you could describe your ideal self in the future, the person you are trying to become, how would you describe that self? In review, recordings from my interviews, it's clear that high performers have thought about this more than others. Their description comes sooner with the coherent part, the part of the hmms, and the good questions, clocking in an average of 7 to 9 seconds faster. Their responses were less meandering than others. When I asked people to describe their future best self in just 3 words, high performers also replied faster in a more confident tone. Try to imagine ourselves in the future with great clarity is hard work for anyone. That's why most people tend to do it only once per year. That's right, on New Year's Eve. But high performers spend a lot of time thinking about their best self and the ideals they're trying to grow into. In interviews with many highest scoring and 10 lowest scoring clients on the HPI, I found that the highest performing clients report thinking about their ideal future self and engaging in activities related to that almost 60 minutes more per week than the lowest scoring clients. For example, if you see yourself as a great communicator in the future, you would not only be more likely to imagine scenarios of yourself speaking with others, but also spend more time doing so. Your activity doing things that exhibit a future characteristic you desire. This isn't to say that high performers are more introspective than anyone else. Lots of people journal every week and could be said to be self-aware without being high performance. For example, lots of people think of themselves constantly, but much of the thinking is just negative rumination. So what makes the difference is that high performers imagine a positive version of themselves in the future, and then they actively engage in trying to be that. This part about actively engaging is important. They aren't wanting to demonstrate a characteristic next week or next month. They're living into their best self now. You get the point? So let's encapsulate this advice with some simple things you can do. Be more intentional about who you want to become. Have visions beyond your current circumstances. Imagine your best future self and start acting like the person today. This doesn't have to be complicated. When I was 19 years old and struggling to bounce back from a car accident, 3 one-word commands helped turn my life around. These commands, as you may know, were inspired by the lessons I had learned about life when I was faced my own morality. They are simple and concise. Live, love, matter. These 3 words became more clarity, checkpoint in life. Every night lying in bed, just before dozing off, I would ask myself, did I live fully today? Did I love? Did I matter? I've asked those questions of myself every night for over 20 years. The truth is, I don't always go to bed with resounding yes. To all 3 questions, I have had bad days just like anyone else. But the nights that I can say yes to those questions, when I feel clear and on track, are the nights I sleep best. That simply practice has given me more clarity than anything else I've done in life. Today I still wear a bracelet engraved with those 3 words. I don't need the bracelet. I don't need to continue asking the questions, but I do because it keeps me clear and on track. This is similar to the work I've had to do with Kate. Her identity information practices had stagnated. She hadn't thought about a better version of herself for a long time because she was already doing so well. So in one of my coaching sessions, I asked her to describe herself in various situations of her life over the past few weeks. Upon coming home while playing with her kids, when making presentations at work, during interactions with friends, while out on a date with Mike. Then I asked her to do it again, this time describing herself in those situations as if she were an even better future version of herself. She began to realize that who she has been in the past several weeks was not who she really imagined herself being in the upcoming years. That should be a wake-up call for anyone. Next, I asked her to identify 3 aspirational words that would describe her future self. She came up with alive, playful, grateful. None of her descriptions or words sounded like merely going through the motions, which was how she felt recently. This activity was also simple, but eye-opening for her. Sometimes it's a simple thought process that helped us reset our focus. Kate was generally confident, but the issue was she had stopped envisioning a future. Kate envisioned a future, Kate to grow into. That's what was hurting her. No vision, no enthusiasm. So I had her put her 3 aspirational words into her phone as an alarm label that went off 3 times per day. This means that as Kate went about her day, an alarm would go off and she'd see her words on her phone to remind her who she was and could become. Now it's your turn. Describe how you perceive yourself in the following situations over the past several months. With your significant other, at work, with kids or team, in social situations with strangers. Now ask, is that who I really see myself being in the future? How would my future self look, feel, and behave differently in those situations? If you could describe yourself in just 3 aspirational words, words that would sum up who you are at best in the future, what would these words be? Why are those words meaningful to you? Once you find your words, put them in the phone as an alarm label that goes off several times per day. Social. High performance also have clear intentions about how they want to treat others. They have situational awareness and Social. High performance also have a clear intention about how they want to treat other people. They have high situational awareness and social intelligence, which help them succeed and lead in every situation. I'm going to start there. That's page 67. We'll start back on page 68. Okay, we're going to start on page 68. I'm going to stop there because I have 2 more things to read like I promised everybody. Let me grab my book because I promised everybody. First, I'm going to read one out of here. This is my personal one. Let me get to, we're just going to turn to a page. Hope dies unless you feed it. Get another one. I like that one. Hope dies unless you feed it. Alright. Learn to listen. Opportunity sometimes knocks very softly. Learn to listen. Opportunity sometimes knocks very softly. Without hope, man is only half alive. Without hope, man is only half alive. Now remember that. Now let's get out the Jim Rohn one. Like I promised everybody to read one from Jim Rohn. That's his book. Just a second. Here it is. Alright. Nope, that's the first sentence. Alright. I gotta get out the right one. Okay, so I promised everybody to read a couple of these each time. Personal development. Income seldom exceeds personal development. Say that again. Income seldom exceeds personal development. By Jim Rohn. What you become directly influences what you get. By Jim Rohn. What you become directly influences what you get. We can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. We can have more than we've got because we can become more than we are. The big challenge is to become all that you have the possibility of becoming. You cannot believe what it does to the human spirit to maximize your human potential and stretch yourself to the limit. Pity the man who inherits $1 million and who isn't a millionaire. Here's what would be pitiful. If your income grew and you didn't. I like that. To attract attractive people, you must be attractive. To attract powerful people, you must be powerful. To attract committed people, you must be committed. Instead of going to work on them, you go to work on yourself. If you become, you can attract. The most important question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting? The most important question to ask on the job is, what am I becoming? It is hard to keep that which has not been obtained through personal development. After you become a millionaire, you can give all your money away because what's important is not the $1 million. What's important is the person you have become in the process of becoming a millionaire. And the last page on this one I'm going to read is Personal Philosophy by Jim Rohn. The key factor that will determine your financial future is not the economy. The key factor is your philosophy. Don't borrow someone else's plan. Develop your own philosophy and it will lead you to unique places. If you learn to set a good sail, the wind that blows will always take you to the dreams you want. the income you want, and the treasures of mind, purse, and soul you want. Your philosophy determines whether you will go for the disciplines or continue the errors. Philosophy is the sum total of all you know and what decide is valuable. And those are by Jim Rohn. Alright. And last, if I can find what I need. Where's it? Okay. And then we got a couple more pages to read here. Alright. The Motivational Manifesto. I've got a few more pages to read. I asked people for me to continue on with a couple more pages. We are on page 167 of the Motivational Manifesto by Brendan Burchard. I'll just read a couple pages out of this, then I'm looking at my time because then I got to get going. Alright, declaration. We shall not break integrity. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Epitaphis. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In our darkest hours, we are tempted to break our integrity. In our darkest hours, we are tempted to break our integrity. To compromise who we are, what we believe in, and what we know to be right and true and good. There is an opportunity to be weak and heartless, and it is taken. An impulse arises to be cruel, or to cheat, or to run from our very own dreams. And it is sadly followed. Right when it counts the most, we forget what is important and abandon our higher moral convictions. We make an important promise to our children, our team, but don't follow through. We lash out in anger at those we love when they are most vulnerable. We lie to someone we care about even though we absolutely know they are desperate to hear the truth. We let disappointment win the day and hastily quit on our dreams just because we stumble and fell and made a mess of ourselves. We withhold our voices when we have a chance to shine, hiding our true selves at the expense of authenticity and growth. We act indifferent or cowardly just when the world needs our presence and strength. These are moments when our experience, a sudden rupture of mind and spirit, a lack of virtue, a descent into dark plains of selfishness and irresponsibility. Perhaps it is not always so dramatic. Not all compromises of our character perhaps it is not always so dramatic. Not all compromises of our character are, like the movies, often portrayed, centered on huge and vexing life decisions. There is no tearing out of hair as we desperately try to figure out what to do, as if a grand existential dilemma is unfolding all around. There is no dramatic debate in a public square or a conflict so heated someone collapses to the ground because they can't stand to give an inch. Most breaks in our integrity are small in scale and go unnoticed. They often come when we are too busy to pay attention. We didn't even notice we were rude. We didn't realize it became a habit to act unlike ourselves, to tell little lies, to be easily angered, to keep our ideas to ourselves, to talk too much about ourselves, to gossip, to delay, to ridicule, to be late, to forget the thank yous and I love yous. That actually touched me a little bit. We sometimes forget the thank yous and I love yous. We broke stride with who we are and how we want others to perceive us because of little throwaways acts that we didn't realize were solidifying into a character that was likely beneath us. It is time to remind ourselves that today's thoughts and actions become our legacy. When we forget this or lie to ourselves, thinking our actions do not matter, we have permission to act as momentary buffoons. We let ourselves break. Just this once from our values we cheat. Just this once we lie. Just this once we put off the hard tasks. Just this once we skip the workout. Just this week we take the drink. Just one more. And soon we find that each of these little breaks in our will leads to another. And then to a lifetime of compromise and regret. Without vigilance, What is right and strong about the human spirit can be whittled away and broken forever. Let us not forget that our actions form, piece by piece, a structure that is either upright or crooked. And so let us aim to be our highest selves, keeping our character and values intact, meeting every situation with solid integrity and generous humanity. When the next temptation comes to the weak and heartless, and it will come, we will not take it. Instead, there will be a strong ground refusal to break, a decision not to compromise or lower ourselves, that mighty life that comes from doing what's right, a grand ascent to another realm of human character, when we are congruent with our divine nature. Personal freedom and the hope of mankind rest on our commitment to stay true to ourselves, our dreams, our word, our goodness, and our loving nature. By refusing to bend on our values, we become unbreakable, solid and stable, courageous and certain, men and women of valor, worth, and character. Let us build a life we are proud of. Let us declare we shall not break integrity. We shall not break integrity, creating clarity. When we are incongruent, acting in ways that are not aligned with our beliefs, we feel off, frustrated, regretful, and over time miserable. But when we align our thoughts and actions with our values and priorities in life, we enjoy the blessings of a chosen, satisfying life. This knowledge requires us to ask two questions: who am I, and what is important to me? These contemplations may be two of the most important in life. No profound personal power or full freedom can belong to those who do not know the answer. To find our answers to such daunting questions, it is helpful to consider the qualities we desire in three separate areas of our lives: our character, our connections, and our contributions. On character. Very few people have ever done deep work in defining their character, the specific identity they wish to have. They simply respond to the world on a whim, without paying any real attention to the type of person they want to be or become. With no targeted identity to act toward, they become amalgamations of desires of others and their circumstances, the cultures in which they live. They have no real character because they are slave to impulse and mimicry. Contrast this with a woman who owns keen self-awareness. If she is virtually aware and committed to being a kind person, she is rarely rude. If she has defined herself as deeply empathetic, she intentionally develops the discipline to listen more, to help more, and to love more. She works to align all her thoughts and habits with the ideal person she wishes to be. Awareness and discipline give her freedom to live her potential. We'll stop on 170 there. We're on 171. Like I told everybody, I got to stop here because I got time to keep. Okay. I'm getting faster at this stuff so I can do a little bit more. All right. So, I hope everybody understood what we were reading. I hope everybody understood that. Don't forget also the prayer of Jabez. The prayer is only a sentence thick. And Jabez called on God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain." So God granted him what he requested. The prayer of Jabez. 1 Chronicles 4:10. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed, and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain." So God granted him what he requested. All right, everybody, I've got to get back to work. I will talk to everybody soon. I hope everybody has a great day. And we got a couple other things to do live later on. I hope everybody has a great day. That's my 45 minutes strong with reading a book, giving you some quotes. The next book we'll also be reading is Claim Your Power by Dave Asprey. So, as you can see, we're always reading multiple books, different books, because not everybody learns from the same one. I do it for about 45 minutes a day. I hope everybody has a great day. Go back and look at my motivational stuff. It'll help you. I hope it helps somebody. Read the prayer of Jabez. remember, be a better person. Read 11 books a day, or 11 pages of a good book a day, and know that you matter. Each and every one of you matters. God bless. Talk to everybody soon. Hope everybody has a great day. Gracie Ann, if you read this, know Daddy loves you with his entire heart. Sometimes I gotta take and tell you that I love you.